Hello, hello, hello. See if I could separate this out. Have them all side by side. There we go. Now I can see both chats at the same time, which is good. So we're 3 minutes early, 2 minutes early. But if you're already here, then just let me know if you can hear me all right. Feel free to just let us know where you're tuning in from. Don't be shy. Hello, Annibals. Hello, hello. Yeah, I know it's Monday, so I don't have extremely high expectations for attendance. But hello, Reed. But this is around the time that I usually post the Monday video. So for those of you who anyways watch the Monday video on Mondays, then maybe you're free at this time anyways. Yeah, so today we're starting technically in a minute. What we're going to be doing is a little different than the usual live stream. It's a little more themed. We're going to be talking about the Wix Studio Code Challenge. Before we do that, I will do a little bit of housekeeping. Very, very short housekeeping because we don't have a lot of time today, actually. So let's see. We have another 1 minute. Who else is online here? Let's see, 3 concurrent viewers. Let's see, 2 concurrent viewers on 5 people total between the regular stream and the short stream. For those of you on the short stream, you should know that you can also watch this in regular view as well, if you are so inclined. And there we go. Okay, so we're ready to start. And very, very, like 2 minutes of housekeeping, even less. First of all, next week, we have our second webinar, which you can register for on the WixWiz website. It's a free webinar. It's different from live stream in the sense that it's a Zoom call. So instead of just typing in a chat, we're actually in the same quote unquote room, and we can have discussions. And it's a little more focused on a specific topic. The topic for the upcoming webinar is going to be custom member registrations, profiles, and areas in Wix. So it's a very broad topic, and I have a strong feeling that we're probably going to have to do a follow-up webinar just to cover everything that can be talked about in this topic. But this is one of the things that I see people asking about a lot on the channel, and also something that the people who attended the previous webinar, which is available for channel members, the recording, this is one of the topics that was requested. So I think that this is a good thing to do a webinar on, or possibly even several webinars. So that's one thing. It's free, of course, and you can register on the WixWiz website. The second thing I wanted to make note of is that, as you probably know if you follow the channel to some extent, Wix is saying bye to Wix Forum. And in anticipation of that, the deadlines for which are coming up, at least some of them, we have migrated our WixWiz forum to Discourse. Discourse is an open source forum software that you can either host yourself or you can actually pay them for hosting. We're trying the self-hosting, and we've migrated over almost all of the previous posts from our Wix forum to Discourse. You can find still all the posts there, and it's linked already to your member account within Wix, and the sign-in is also through Wix. So all you have to do is just go, click login. It'll take you to the WixWiz website. You'll log into your regular member account, and you should have access to your previous posts and your account and everything. Let me know if it doesn't work, but yeah, I haven't seen so much activity on it quite yet. We launched it about a week ago. So those are the two things I wanted to mention in terms of housekeeping. And now we're going to hop in and talk about the topic for today, which is the code challenge, which was announced here in the Discord of Wix Studio. I'll admit that it's like a light code challenge in the sense that the prize is not so grand, in my opinion. I mean, Wix has done pretty large-scale hackathons, some of which I've participated in, where with significant monetary prizes and such. This one, I think the prize is you'll win a limited-time digital badge on Discord for participating in the challenge. So, yeah, I originally was like, okay, I don't even know if I'll do this, but then I said, you know what? This could be a fun thing to do together as a live stream on the channel. So that's what we're going to do today. As I said, the time is quite limited. I have not the time for the challenge. The challenge has another week or so. And I do encourage you to try and do things yourself if you haven't done so yet. But we have about an hour-ish, maybe an hour and a half for the live stream today. So we'll see how much we can get done in that time span. But I think it could be a fun and interesting thing to do. So if you haven't checked out the challenge yet, I'll just briefly read it. So there's like kind of a background story. It's 2035. Spritz Berlin is the most hyped techno festival on the planet. Ticket sales are flying, but the organizers want a sellout. They call in their AGI sidekick, Transformer 8, to give suggestions on how to increase their sales. So that's just the backstory. It doesn't really actually affect the challenge. Transformer 8 suggests the following tweaks. And essentially what we have here are the requirements for the challenge, where I think, if I'm not mistaken, we need to implement at least 3 features. So Wix or Transformer 8 has given us 4 predefined features to choose from, and you can also choose your own growth hack. Use your creativity to implement a feature that involves a front-end or back-end API. I think growth hack is like, I've heard the term before. It's a little vague to me. But essentially, it's something that should help the site increase sales. So if you have an idea like that, feel free to leave it in the comments. And if we manage to do the 4 predefined features, then and we have time, it'll be a miracle if that happens. But if we do, then we'll take a look at some of the growth hacks that you suggest in the chat. So feel free to leave anything you want in the chat. Let's read the 4 features. So first is an engagement hack. Animate the Spritz Berlin text 10 using random animation for 600 milliseconds when the site visitors hover over it with a mouse. So I'm going to actually stop here and take a step back. If you haven't taken a look at it yet and you do want to follow along, there is a starter template that you can get, and this is the site that it will give you. So when we're looking at the features, I'll try and look at it within the context of this template that has been provided. This is where you should be implementing all of your code for the code challenge. You don't need to build the entire site from scratch. So the first one, again, was to animate the Spritz Berlin text, hashtag text 10. So that's the idea, the ID. Let's see, this is text. And so in order to see the IDs of the text, we're going to have to turn on code mode if you haven't done so yet. So this is where code mode is here on the side. Probably going to be quite critical for a code challenge. And once you turn that on, then you have access here to the different IDs. So, okay, it's loading. It's turning on. It's taking its time. There we go. So now you can see here, it says text 10. So this is the text that Wix wants us to implement that first feature on, the Spritz Berlin text. And essentially we have to make it animate randomly for 600 milliseconds when the site visitors hover with a mouse. So we'll talk about in a moment how to do these things, but let's just keep on going through the features. Making the scrolling marquee say name of ticket, ticket sold for 30 seconds live whenever a new attendee buys a ticket. After 30 seconds, go back to the original marquee text. If multiple ticket types are sold, you may display any valid ticket type. So let's see what that scrolling marquee is that they're talking about. Okay, so it might not be clear in the editor what the scrolling marquee is. So let's go ahead and check out. I'm going to publish the site. I don't really care what it's called. And then head over to the live set and see if I can identify what that scrolling marquee is. Out of the features, I think this one is probably the most complex to implement. It's also not 100% clear in terms of the requirements. So I'll explain that in a moment. Okay, so this is the marquee here. So this would need this text here, this thing that you see here scrolling on the bottom of the website, that would need to change to some custom text when a ticket is sold. Now, there are several levels of complexity that I can envision for this feature. One would be, like, if I'm the user and I buy a ticket, then it would change the text of the marquee. That's one level. A more complex level would be when anybody buys a ticket on the website, it changes the text for everybody. And I think that is probably what it means, because in the end of the day, these are growth hacks that are meant to increase sales. So once I already bought a ticket, I don't think changing the marquee would actually do anything. So it's probably changing the marquee for other people, which makes it a lot more, makes it kind of a level up of complexity. So that's, I would say, the most complex one. And it's probably the one we'll tackle last time providing. If we don't manage to do it completely, at least we'll talk about how to approach it possibly. Add a neon-themed light box when visitors go on the site at 3 to 3:15 a.m. local time. In the light box, add a 10% sleepless discount they can copy into their clipboard via button click. Not overly complex. I mean, playing with time and locality and stuff like that is always fun, so we could take a look at that. And last, add an Easter egg if the user is logged in and clicks on a new or existing element on the home page 10 times. An email will be sent to them in 30 minutes, giving them a 20% custom coupon code exclusive to them. So until the 30 minutes point, I was thinking that this is probably not too complicated. Adding in that 30-minute spin adds a certain level of complexity there. Probably means that we're going to need to use either automations or cron jobs there, or maybe I'll think of something else. By the way, feel free to chime in and share in the comments how you think these different features should be approached, what solutions you would use, or what you've done already inside of your approach to this code challenge if you've already done it. So I'm going to start off with the first feature because I think that is probably the most simple one. So that's going to be the engagement hack. I'll just quickly the requirements. So start with the challenge template. We've done that. Use the SDK when possible. Otherwise, use Velo only APIs. So this is an SDK first challenge. So this is the SDK I have open. By the way, Wix has recently done something with the documentation where you have the separate SDK documentation, but also, like, if you go to the API reference, then you can toggle back and forth here between REST and SDK and kind of see how those align. If you're coming from an app development perspective, then that could be extremely useful. If you're doing a site development perspective, it might actually be more useful to have something like that for, let's say, SDK versus Velo, because you're not really going to be touching the REST APIs. So I'm just going to head back here to the generic SDK because we're on a Wix website at the moment. And I also have the Velo docs open here just in case we don't manage to do something specific with Velo. So I see here people already commenting and sharing, writing in the chat and kind of adding what they've been approaching. So I appreciate that. Maybe we'll take a look at it in a moment if I get stuck here on something. But let's talk first about how to create the animation. So for this, there's two ways that came to mind for me in terms of how to approach this. So first of all, Wix has this API here, Wix Animations Frontend, which allows you to animate elements. I actually have a tutorial about this. It's one of the earlier tutorials on the channel from several years ago. And that's one option. But another thing that came to mind is that Wix has some built-in, what are they called? Interact animations and effects that's specific to, or I think there is to some extent in Wix Classic as well. But I think that these animations and effects can also be triggered using code. So that could be an interesting approach as well. So I want to take a look at that second option first. One other thing that I just want to show in terms of giving you ideas of how to approach and tackle problems is that what we could do is we could go ahead and we can take the requirement. I'm just going to copy the requirement, head to the SDK docs, and then over here on the bottom right, we have this SDK assistant. It's essentially like an AI search, I would call it. It's not really an agent. I mean, you can only ask one question at a time. Basically, it does like an AI search of the documentation and points you to different documentation that you can use to solve the problem. So, okay, so it took it quite literally in terms of, this was actually a terrible demonstration of the capabilities. Usually it is quite helpful. How to animate a text element. Wow. Okay. Okay, so this is a good demonstration of why you still need to know how to search the documentation yourself. But this is generally, I do use these SDKs and the Velo assistants to try and find things. And I'll keep on using it throughout the live stream today, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate its capabilities a little better. But let's take a look here in terms of how, so for the animation, so this is also where I'm a little split here, is because for this one here that I actually want to approach, I think we're going to need to use the Velo APIs because those are related to $W. And $W is only in Velo, whereas if we would go the animation route, then that actually does have an option here that we saw before, that I could swear we saw before. Animation, where was it? Maybe it's a front end. Was I looking at the Velo docs? Oh yeah. Okay, animations front end is also Velo. Sorry. I thought I was looking at the SDK before. That might be why the SDK assistant didn't manage to find anything. So, okay, so we're in Velo anyways. Let's take a look for a second at $W. And specifically, let's take a look at text. Text, LMNOP, QRST, text. And let's see what we can find here in terms of effects. Okay, so here there's an option for effects, an object containing functionality for displaying the effects defined for an element using Wix Studio. So let's see here, active effects and all effects. Gets an element's currently applied effects. Oh, so this is read only. Interesting. I thought that we might be able to text effects target. Interesting. Let me try and give this the same prompt to the Velo assistant and see if it does a better job. Oh, I did give it to the Velo assistant before. No, I gave it to the SDK assistant. And it's showing me it also here in the Velo. It's amazing how many things are are happening to me for the first time here in this live stream. Usually the Velo assistant and the SDK assistant are completely separate. They don't really have a knowledge. Okay, yeah. So here we have, so you see the Velo one is giving a little bit better. Yeah, and this actually looks a bit like what I think Saad put in the chat. I see he has some interesting approaches here. He has several approaches here. You should take a look at the chat. What Saad's been putting here. He's very interesting approaches to this problem. Okay, so we got here some. We actually got here a code snippet from the AI assistant. Let's see if it does anything. So I'm going to put the code snippet over here. And first of all, what we'll have to do is interesting. So this seems to be like a Velo package. Wow, it's been a while since I've used a Velo package. So this isn't an API per se, but this is a package that is built specifically to be used with Velo. I don't even know if there's a reference to it here in the API. Yeah, here, Velo package readmes. So here, these are the Velo packages. I have used Velo packages before, and I have some tutorials about them as well. I didn't know that there was one specifically surrounding animations. Oh, here, animations helper. So this is the package that the AI is suggesting we use. I don't know if it's necessary per se. We could just use the API directly, but let's see. Maybe it'll save us some time because we're in a bit of a time crunch here. So we installed the package just like that. You can also install packages over here inside of packages and apps. And awesome. So basically text element, animations. Let's try and understand the code that we're actually putting here instead of just blindly following AI. So, okay, so we select the text element over here, and we have an array of different animations that are being imported here from the package. So basically, what this package is actually doing is it's in the animation raw APIs. You don't have things like spin, zoom, float. You have like rotate X degrees or scale, etc. So this kind of simplifies those into like more colloquial animations that you might want to implement. And it just makes it a little easier and saves you some time. So that's what this package is doing here, essentially. And essentially, it is calling an animation from the animations array at random. Okay, so it's picking one of these three in the array at random using math.floor, math.random, and multiplying by the length of the entire array. And then it applies the random animation. Okay, let's see if it works. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish, just because preview tends to sometimes slow my computer down a little bit more than publishing even does. And I see some people are in the, I don't know if I could see all the chats like that. Let me make this bigger. Benoy said hi in the short stream. Hi, Benoy. And okay, so we got that. And let's check this out on the live site. And oh, there we go. Okay, that made the text a lot bigger. And now it's moving side to side. Oh, and now it's spinning. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's definitely passable in terms of meeting the requirement, but it's not like awesome because like maybe it's lasting too long and it's kind of I don't know. It's not like so great. Text element duration. Let's see. Let's take a look at the package itself. Let's take a look at the package itself and see what we can do with it. Wow, this is very long documentation. I didn't really want to waste so much time on this specific feature because I find it a little uninteresting. Just I want to see if like there's some way to make it reverse more quickly or something like that. Yeah, so there are all these different duration, distance, direction, maybe easing. We could put in the easing. Maybe that will make it a pause equals false. Maybe let's try putting those in. That might help a little bit. So I'm just going to throw these in here as well. And probably want to do it like that, I'm guessing. Yeah, as an object. Okay, let's try that. If it makes it better, we'll call it a win. If it doesn't make it better, we'll call it a a pass, and we'll move on to the next thing. Not that it can't be made better. I'm just I'm not sure. We're already 24 minutes in, and oh wow. I feel like it's activating too much. I do think it's a little better now. What I might do is put in like some kind of throttle or something, or debouncer. I always get confused between throttles and debouncers, but the one that would stop it from running again if it's already running. So essentially what we could do, and I know I'm doing what I said I wouldn't do, which is spend more time on this, but what we could do is we could say, let's say, let animated, and then I wonder if does this return anything? Let's just check the docs quickly. Yeah, I mean, if you want more control, you can always const roulette spin equals spin roulette. I wonder if it returns anything. Or if it was a promise. If it was a promise, that would also be really nice. What I could do is I could also say, let's say like this. Let's say let const. I always like to do the const first. It doesn't matter. Const duration equals 600. And then here we'll put in duration. And then we'll say, let's say set timeout. And here we'll put in the duration as well, assuming they're all the same units here. And then we'll say animated equals to false. And here we'll say animated equals true. And we'll add in a condition and we'll say if not animated, then we'll do that. So let me just go through what we did here. We have a variable animated, which kind of keeps track of if it's animated or not. Then we set animated. Oh, that would not have worked well. Because here we always set animated to true no matter what. So yeah, we have to put all this inside of the if statement. This all needs to go in the if statement. Or we could have returned or something like that. But okay, so if it's not animated, then we set animated to true. We do a random animation, and then we set a timeout for the same duration as the animation. It's a little hacky, but okay. And then it'll be set to false, so that if the person mouses in a lot, it won't run the animation every time, only if it's not animated already. So let's try that out. I think that should make it a little better. But let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Just want to make sure that it actually published there. Okay, so hover. Is that actually better? I think it's a little better. Even though the rotation does not seem to be stopping. Okay, I'm stopping with this part. We played enough around with the animations. If you want to get it 100% right, you can read it up on these docs and maybe even try and implement the animation API yourself and gain a little more control in terms of like play, stop, reverse, and stuff like that. But that's how you'd probably approach that feature. Let's talk for a second about neon themed lightbox. So when visitors go on a site at 3 to 3:15 a.m. local time, in the lightbox, add a 10% sleepless discount they can copy into their clipboard via a button click. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll add in a quick lightbox through here. Light boxes. Just going to add in this light box right over here. We have to make it neon. Let's see how we can make it neon. Maybe with custom CSS. How can we make this neon? Okay, we could change the background color to something that's a little more neon. Let's say that. Okay. We can generate some custom CSS. Let's see. Make it neon. Let's see what it will do for our custom CSS. Probably apply like some kind of background. The only thing I'm concerned about is I don't know if to make it neon, I would expect the color to kind of ooze out of the light box itself, but I don't know if it's capable of actually doing that in terms of the light box. But essentially what it would probably do is apply, let's say, a box shadow or something like that that's colored in the same color as the light box. That's probably how you'd approach it from a CSS perspective. The code assistant seems to be thinking, oh, quite a bit. At this point, if I was actually, I would just like completely close it and ChatGPT it or try and do it myself. To add custom CSS, you would go over here to, okay. Yeah, to add your own CSS, you go here to page code and then go over here to CSS. You can add in the global CSS file, and then you can kind of just apply your own styles here. So for example, we could add in a style of, let's say, .neon, and then do something here like box shadow. Wow, it's been a while since I've we can do this color. And I don't know, let's say 10 pixels. And then here, in terms of applying it, so you'd select your light box like that. And then here we can apply our custom class of neon. And yeah, I don't see it doing anything initially. Wow, box shadow. Maybe this has to be the other way around. 10 pixels. Yeah, my CSS, let's see if I could quickly get ChatGPT to do something interesting here. Box shadow based neon CSS. I don't need a long answer. Wow. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Wow. So 0, 0. Okay, I was pretty close. I don't know what that 0, 0 is. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Do you see it? Do you see? Let me make it bigger so you can see it. Let me make it bigger so you can see it. 30 pixels. And there it is. I mean, I hope you can see it. It's kind of neon. Yeah, you see, you see, you see. Let me know in the chat if you see the neon. Hi, Akil, who's watching the shorts, who bought a membership the other day. Welcome. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. And thanks for tuning into the live stream. Hashtag glowing from Reed's Diamond. I'm very proud of this this neon. That's very exciting. Okay, so that counts as neon for me. Welcome, Akil, to the Proper Live. And let's see what else the requirements were here. At a 10% sleepless discount. They can copy into their clipboard via a button click. So let's add in some text. Let's add in some text. Let's just choose this. And change this. I always like using the advanced settings. Let's do like 90%. Center it. And I'm going to make this text a lot smaller. Let's make it, let's say 50. And I'll say get 10% off with sleepless. Awesome. And now we need a button that they click to just copy the just copy that. So we can go ahead here and I would add like something like this. Maybe. I mean, design perspective, let's change this icon out for like copy or something like that. Let's see if we could find something for copy. No. Like paper. Okay, none of these are like classic copy, but let's say this one is the closest. So that's going to be for copying. And what we're going to do here is let's take this opportunity to rename this light box because it should not be called center. Let's call it sleepless discount here. And this is going to be important because we're going to need to trigger this light box using code in a moment. And here inside of the sleepless discount light box, what we're going to need to do is when somebody clicks this button, which is going to be our copy button, it needs to copy the text. So we're going to need an API for that. I think it's Wix window. We could probably find it in the SDK. Wix window. Copy to clipboard. Okay, that's what we're using over here. So what we want to do here is just import this. And then on button click. So select our copy button, dot on click. And what we'll do here is we'll say const coupon code equals sleepless. Spell sleepless right. And then on click, we'll say window dot why is it not auto-completing? Window dot copy to clipboard. And then here we're going to have the text. So that's coupon code. And then we have a dot then, which we can utilize to do something like put in some kind of UI or something to indicate to the user that we've copied that code over. So what can we do? Oh, that's why it wasn't auto-completing, because I thought I had clicked to import it, but I guess not. I guess that's my bad. Yeah, so typically what you would do is you'd add like a little bit of text or something to indicate to the user that you copied. So like you could say copied to clipboard. Yeah, and probably make that like black or something because it's a little hard to see on the neon due to its size. Where are the colors? Colors for text. Oh no, not outline. Where's the regular color? Okay, this is taking me embarrassingly long. I guess it's this one. No, that's highlight. Oh, here, color, because it's white. It's hard to see. Okay, so let's do that in the black. And make that a little smaller. Say width 20 pixels. That's too few, too little. 40. We center it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm not focusing too much on the design here, as you may be able to tell. But this will be hidden by default. And then this is going to be, let's say, copied text. And then we can say here, copied text dot show. And then if we really want to be fancy, we can set a timeout of, let's say, I don't know, 1/3 of a second and hide copied text again. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So that's something. And what we want to do is we want to trigger this light box only at a certain time of day. Now, what it says here in the requirements is that we should do it between 3 to 3:15 a.m. local time. I'm not going to do that because I want it to actually work, and it's not it's not anywhere near 3 a.m. here. So what we could do is, so this we would put the code for in the master page. So we go here to page code and then go here to master page because we want this pop-up to come up on any page of the site that they visit first. And what we want to do here is write like a quick function that will check the time of day. So for things through like this, I always go straight to like ChatGPT or something like that to write like these kind of helper functions that need to do things. I mean, it's important to verify that they're actually working correctly, but yeah, especially with like time and stuff like that. So just, yeah, write a function that will check if the time of day is between x time to y time, let's say. There we go, giving me a JavaScript function. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I know you can't see my ChatGPT, but you'll see it in a moment. Yeah, so I'm just going to grab this and put it right over here. So this is the function. I mean, I probably could write this if I wanted to spend another 20, 30 minutes, like just thinking about it and writing it out and testing it and whatnot. But basically, we have a function, and I'm going to assume that it works for now, that checks if the time is between start and end, and it takes it in 24-hour format. Also, you'd want to check, like, is this local time? Is it not local time? But out of the box, like if you're declaring now equals new date, that should be the person who's viewing the site's local time. Like that should always adapt. So let's go ahead and write the rest of the code over here. So we're going to need to import the open lightbox. And this is something, if you watched the last live stream, we actually struggled with this a little bit in terms of opening lightboxes, because it didn't seem like they 100%, like here within window, lightbox close and get context is over here, but the open lightbox is over here in a different place for some reason. Let's see if it works smoothly this time. I hope so. Whoops. We really had to play around with it a lot last time to get it to work. So we import that over here. We'll say const lightbox equals 2, and this is just going to be the name of the lightbox. So that's, I think, sleepless discount, I think I called it. And then over here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, this is technically a promise, but if you don't need to do anything once the lightbox closes, then you don't have to really do much with that. But this will be window.open lightbox. And then here we'll pass in the name of the lightbox, which is this. And we're going to open the lightbox if the time is between a certain time and a certain time. So we'll say const is lightbox time. And then we'll say is now between. And here we can pass in, we could say here, let's say const start time. And that would be, so I'm going to choose a time here that should trigger the lightbox for me. So let's say between 5, so that would be 17:30. And I'll do end time should be, let's just do, yeah, if we can't get this working in the next 15 minutes, then that won't be very good. So let's do is now between start time and end time. And then we'll say if is lightbox time, then we'll open it up. Let's try and see if everything that we've been working so hard over the past 15 minutes is working or not. Let's see if anybody's been chatting. And Saad asks, any idea why Wix Lightbox tend to lag before showing? Client render delay, or is something async happening under the hood before it mounts? I do not know why, but I definitely acknowledge the fact that lightboxes on Wix can be quite slow. So I really try to use them as little as possible when possible. I'm I'm not sure exactly what the reason behind it is. I would have to look into that. Okay, so we got that. And let's try and see if it pops the light box open. So one thing I forgot to do, which I always forget to do when adding a light box, and it kind of annoys me that this is the default for light boxes, but you have to make sure to turn the trigger off. So at the moment, it's set to automatically display light box on pages. So I'm going to turn that off. And just to make sure that we're really triggering it based on the time here. And I'm going to close the light box. Let's see, done. And I'm going to add just a little code snippet here on the master page. Let's do console.log. And I'm just going to run this just to have like a little other indication of like what's going on and that this is actually returning true and everything. Okay, so let's publish those changes. And let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to try that again, and hopefully that was a false positive. But this time it should be based on, okay, so this time I think we're good. I don't think that that was the natural trigger. And let me just check here. Yeah, this is true. Okay, so that seems to be right. Obviously, the styling here is not so awesome. I'm just going to click the copy button. It said copy to clipboard. It was a little short. I would make it a little longer. And then head back over here to the editor. And I'm just going to paste right over here. And you can see that it pasted the word sleepless, which that was the feature. That was what we needed to implement. And just don't forget to add a coupon in your dashboard with the code sleepless. Okay, that would be what you'd need to complete the picture here, but that's not really code, so I don't consider that like something we need to do as part of the challenge. So far we're good. We're 2 out of 4. And let's try this one now. Add an Easter egg. If the user is logged in and clicks on a new or existing element on the homepage 10 times, an email will be sent to them in 30 minutes, giving them a 20% custom coupon code exclusive to them. So, okay, logged in, that's not a problem. Check if the user's logged in, use the members API, easy. New or existing element on the homepage 10 times, an email will be sent to them in 30 minutes, giving them a 20% custom coupon code. This one is a bit of a challenge because here, if they click on any new or existing element, so I'm brainstorming here. One approach could be to see if there's a way to just trigger it if they click anywhere on the page, which would be equivalent to this requirement. Another one would be to see if there's a way to like apply logic to all elements, but not all elements in Wix support click actually, which could be problematic. So let's go over here. This is going to be something Velo. So $W, there should be a page element. Let's see, page. And there is an on-click for the page. So I think this would probably be the way to do it. Let's see. Like if we take a look here, yeah, the page element, that's like the top one here in the hierarchy. Yeah, let's rename this. Let's call this homepage. And then what we'll do here is this code can go on the homepage because, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need this. And let me just comment out the code from our animations because we're not really using that. And okay, so here what we want to do is that if somebody clicks on homepage.onClick, Then let's do console.log page click. And let's just do a quick proof of concept and make sure that that works. And then if that works, we can move on and to kind of build on top of that to implement the rest of the feature. I just don't really want to go much further than that if that doesn't work. So let's go ahead here and inspect. Get an error. And our sleepless light box. Okay, so let's click somewhere on the page. Okay, this seems to be working. Okay, so this is essentially equivalent to clicking on any existing or new element. Oh, but you know what? You know what? This is actually, ooh, this is there's a little twist here. There's a little twist here that you can miss if you're not careful. Because while it's true that all the elements are part of the page, so if I click any element, technically I'll be clicking the page. But if I click just 10 times anywhere on the page, I don't think that that counts as clicking a certain element 10 times. And that was the requirement. So if the user clicks on a new or existing element 10 times, so that would mean that they have to click on the same element 10 times and not just on the page randomly 10 times across various elements. So that is a bit of a twist, and I think that that is pretty clear from the requirements. So what we need to do basically, my first instinct is to check whenever you have an on-click event. So you have an event. And what we can do is we can console.log page click and also the event. And then if we have inside of the event metadata about which elements were clicked beyond the page, that can potentially solve our problem. If we don't, then we're going to have to rethink this whole process. But that's an interesting twist here to this feature, which makes it a little more tricky than I thought initially. But let's see. So I'm going to give a click here. So we got a page click, and we have target here. So we have target children, which is an array, and we have... Okay, so this does look like it should work. Let's see here for a second. Let's see what else we have here. On click, parent. Yeah, I think this is the key. No, but children. No, those are the children of the target. Are those the children of the target? Let's see. I'm going to click. Let me click somewhere else. So let me click here. Target, children. Yeah, it still has 7. That's not such good news. Target, children. That's not so good. That is not so good. Yeah, I mean, one cheat we could do is to measure if they're clicking in the same vicinity or something like that. Yeah, the problem is I don't think all elements we can go the other direction that I was thinking of going, but the problem is I don't think that all elements in Wix support on clicks. Unique ID. Let's see if the unique ID it's probably the same for all these, yeah. W page. Okay, let's go the other, because I don't see here in real JavaScript. So you do have like events like they do something called bubbling, and basically you can see all of the elements that are linked to a specific event. So if there are overlapping ones and they're all kind of partial to that click event, like you have a parent with several children, then it will also include like you'll have information about those children that are also being affected. But I don't see that here within the Wix event for onClick. So we can explore the other option, which is a little more complex. But essentially it would involve applying the onClick to like all the elements on the page. Obviously, we're not going to do that by hand one by one. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But essentially, we would try and write some code which would do that programmatically. And that would have to do with being able to select multiple elements of the same type at the same time, which is something I never really do, but I do know is possible. If anybody has any other ideas, this would be a great... Oh, wow. What happened to the... Why did nobody say that my background is completely screwed up? I guess the lighting is not so great here. 1 second. Let's see if I can get some more light. Let's see. How's that? Is that a little better? Oh, well. I guess I'll have to just suffer with... You'll have to suffer with the fuzziness in the background. Yeah. So let's see here how we would do that. I need to remember how... It's like a very esoteric piece of Hello code. Okay, once element.type. Global ID parent type. Okay, so these are all the different types. Oh no, these are the types. Oh no, possible values include. So this is like kind of what I'm looking for, but it would need to be a list of all of them. Let's see. Let's see if the Velo assistant can guide me. How to apply onClick to all page elements. Let's see if it could help me find that part of the doc. Select the elements by type or ID and then attach onClick. Oh, here. So you do, and then you put button. Let me take a look here at second for that page. This is a tough cookie, this one. Page children. So, okay. Let's see if we could do this. Let me see here for a second. Homepage.children. Yeah, so let's do... Okay, so we could do here homepage.children dot for each. And then here we'd have child. And then essentially what we'd have to do is we'd say child dot onClick. Let's let's have a function here. Let's call it click, and it will take event, and here we'll console.log clicked, and here we'll have event.target dot, I guess it would be ID like that. And then here we'll have click. And then for each child, like we'd want to keep on iterating until there were no more children, essentially. That's what I'm thinking here. So we would do child dot then we do child dot children. And then we'd essentially do the same thing over and over again. So we need to split out into another function. So we'll do function add click event listeners. And here we'll pass in an element. And then what we would do here is we would say while element dot children dot length is bigger than 0, we'd be recursive and like add it again. And then here we'd say we say here element dot children dot for each child. Wow, this is if this works, that'll be crazy. Okay, add, and then here we'll pass in the child. Okay, so here once we get an element, it'll check if that element has children. If it has children, then it'll go through each child and then run this function on all the children. And then what does this function actually do? For each child, it should add in the event listener. So it would be child.onClick and then click. Let me just double check that ID is actually a property. Oh, it's without the underscore. Okay, that's important. So we'll do like that. And essentially all we have to do is run this on, we'll say here const homepage equals to homepage, and then we'll run this function on the homepage. Add click event listeners homepage. And that should go through and do this iteration. Let's add some console logs. So we'll say console.log adding click listeners for, and then here we'll have element.id. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, if it works, I'll be like, I don't know if I'll be surprised because it should work. I mean, logically, it should work. I don't know if anybody disagrees with me. That now is the time to comment if you think that this is not going to work. Okay, so click. Oh well. Whoa. Okay, before even clicking, add click listeners for homepage. Okay. So this is part of the problem because there isn't on click for all there isn't on click for every single element in Wix. So what we'd have to do is check first to see if child dot on click. Or we could do. I don't know if that's the right way to check. Let me see for a second. How to check if class has a method. I'm not sure that's the right way to do it. Type of. Let's see. Let's try that. Yeah, let's see. Akio said, I think they want you to choose one element only to place the trigger on. Really? Let's see if this works, and then I'll read the requirement again. Maybe I was overthinking it. Let's see. Okay. So it did manage to add it for 4 elements, but then we hit another problem of reading length. Let me take a look at the requirements. I'm still going to continue and try and do what I wanted to do, regardless. But if a user is logged in and clicks on a new or existing element on the homepage 10 times, I guess you can read it both ways. I see what you're saying, Akil. Clicks on a new or existing element on the homepage 10 times. Yeah, I think it's legitimate to interpret it either way. I mean, that's the importance of defining acceptance criteria and requirements is definitely made clear here. I think there is a level of being vague. I kind of took it in the more challenging direction. But yes, I guess you could interpret it as any single element, which would certainly simplify things a lot. But I think we're very close here. So we can say here, if no element dot children return. Okay, I think that should do the trick. And let's see if this works. If it does, it's cool, I think. We're definitely doing something that nobody else doing the challenge is doing, probably, if Akil's right. Unless I'm not the only one that... Let's see. Okay. Whoa. Okay, so it's adding event listeners at an infinite loop to text 10. Why? Um, okay, yeah, because the children's length will always be bigger than 0. So this shouldn't be a while loop. This should just be if. Because the recursion is built in. The recursion is built in here because we're calling this again and again and again. So that we didn't need a while loop for. That was just me breaking the internet. And I need to open this page again because I closed it. Okay. So it added click listeners to 41-ish elements, which I'm guessing these are all the elements that support click on the page. So I'm going to mark that as success. And let's try clicking an element. So let's say, and you can see here that they're all clickable now because like they have the pointer thingy. And if I just click here, then you can see here that I clicked box 16, I clicked box 17, I clicked box 18, I clicked section 1. Okay? And that is exactly what I was hoping for. Okay. I am very happy with that. I hope you are too. I think definitely we get points for going above and beyond probably what the writers of this task had in mind. But we're not done yet because now that we implemented the click, so what we need to do is we need to build like a cache here. And what we need to do is when somebody clicks, we'll say if cache dot cache and then if cache event dot target dot id, then what we'll do is we'll say that this should be plus plus, and then we can say if this thing equals to 10, then we'll run another function, which will, let's say, function send discount email. So here we'll just, for now, we'll just do console.log sending discount email. And here we'll do send discount email. And else we'll say that this thing should be equal to 1. What's wrong with that? Why can't I assign that? Should be fine. Maybe this is this the problem? Okay, if you see the problem, tell me. We don't have a lot of time left. What is the typo? ChatGPT. This is actually my favorite use of ChatGPT, because there's really no heroism in figuring out your typo by yourself. Like, I can understand people who claim, you don't want them to write, like you want all the code to be written by thinking humans, and fine. There's no heroism in finding like that you put an extra comma in or that you have like a typo in, especially in like hundreds of lines of code. I think that is a no-brainer use for AI that anybody can agree on. And okay, yeah, it was a comma. I used a comma instead of a semicolon. Okay, classic. Oh, thank you, Quotonomics. Thank you, Quotonomics, and Akil. Comma instead of semicolon. You guys are as good as ChatGPT. Okay. Awesome. So then we got that there. And let me also, I'm just going to do console.log cache here, just so we can keep track of the cache and make sure that it's working. So let's go ahead and publish that. The cache is basically going to be an object, which is going to keep track of how many times each element was clicked so that we can decide if the person's eligible for the Easter egg. And okay, so we click. Yeah, so you can see here the cache being logged. So you can see box 19 was clicked once, section 1 was clicked once. And yeah, like as we keep on clicking, and you can see here section 6 is now. So if I click this image, I didn't see, oh, here, sending discount email. Yeah, when section 6 went from 9 to 10, so it sent the discount email. And yeah, awesome. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, send discount email. Okay, that is working. There are some additional things that we might want to do here. I mean, we haven't set up the email at all yet, which is a big part of this. But we are getting close to run out of time, so I'm kind of going to go into approach mode versus actual and pseudo coding mode instead of actually building out the features. But I think I definitely had my fun for today with this. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about an email will be sent to them in 30 minutes, giving them a 20%. So one, as I said, either we can go triggered emails. If you're not familiar with triggered emails, you can go to your dashboard, set up a triggered email, and then trigger an email essentially via code. The problem is that the 30-minute delay, which we can't do on the front end, because if the user, decides to close their browser or whatever, then the email's gone. So it would have to be, anyways here, it's very likely that you're going to want to implement a CMS collection to keep track of who has utilized the Easter egg, because otherwise you can end up sending somebody an unlimited amount of emails if they keep on triggering the Easter egg intentionally or unintentionally. So you're going to want to send only one email to each person, which means you're going to want a CMS collection, which is going to keep track of if somebody reached this Easter egg and if the trigger email has been sent. So once we're ready utilizing a CMS collection, then we could go and pair that with cron jobs. So essentially add in not a web module. No. We could add in scheduled jobs. Where did that go? There. Add in a scheduled jobs. I have a tutorial about how to use scheduled jobs. And that would essentially, let's say, So this is a bit of a problem because the scheduled job can run, I think the minimum is once an hour. So yeah, I don't know if you could run it every half an hour. Yeah, set a recurrence of no less than an hour. So this is a little problematic in terms of these specific requirements where we have to send it out half an hour later. But for now, let's pretend that we could send it out at, let's say, an hour later. So then what we could do is every hour run a function that queries the CMS collection for unsent Easter egg emails, send out those emails, mark them as sent, etc. So we'd be losing out here in two aspects of the requirement. One is that it would not be 30 minutes. It might be more. and it might be less. So essentially, it's not an exact 30 minutes after it's actually sent. To do it exactly 30 minutes after the Easter egg has been triggered, we'd probably have to use automations. So, by the way, the triggered emails can be set up over here. This is where you'd build the triggered email and you get like a code snippet to integrate. In order to really fulfill these requirements, I think you'd have to go the automation route, which would mean that we'd create an automation that's triggered by Velo code. So let's start from scratch here. And in terms of trigger, we can select here Velo code trigger. And then we'd install this Wix Automations NPM package, and then run this trigger from the back end. And then here we can send an email easily at a delay of 30 minutes. So we'd go here and action and send an email. Should be like the top one. Yeah, send an email. And here, I guess we can add a delay in the next step here. Oh, here, delay. Yeah, delay. Wait for 30 minutes. Okay, so I think this is the only way to fulfill these requirements, where it needs to be sent 30 minutes exactly after the trigger. And Velo code trigger, I don't think, unfortunately, we have time to demonstrate this. Let me know if this is something that interests you, and maybe we could do a tutorial about it separately for the channel. But yeah, conceptually, that's how it would need to be approached to finish off that requirement. Last one that we didn't do is make the scrolling marquee something ticket sold for 30 seconds live whenever a new attendee buys a ticket. After 30 seconds, go back to the original marquee text. So this, as I said, is probably the hardest one. Now I'm not so sure, actually. The one that we did here with the Easter egg might have been technically a little bit harder. But yeah. So here, what we'd have to do is, first thing we have to do is detect when somebody's buying a new ticket. Not too hard. That would be using events, which I don't think they live in the SDK yet. But maybe they do. Let's see. So we'd go here to Wix events, which I'm guessing they're using for the ticketing. And yeah, I think the events still only live in Velo. So if you go here to the bottom, you have events and service plugins. And then we can go down to why is E skipped? Oh, here, Wix events. Okay, not because it's yeah. I guess it's confusing when we're though. This is it's always confusing to talk about events in the context of events. Wix events is an application for selling tickets to events, and like I'm using for my webinar. For those of you who haven't checked it out yet, that's Wix events, and then there's something else called events, which exists for all of the Wix business applications, which are essentially ways to detect when something happens inside of the application. So it's a little confusing here because there's two different kinds of events. But basically what we would do is... Ooh. We're not going to use the events. So what I'm seeing here now is that the events here for Wix events are actually more... Well, maybe it would be on guest created. Okay. This is potentially... When a guest is created on your site. Let's see if it has information here about the ticket, let's say, or something like that. RSVP, ticket number. Okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing that, okay, we are using events. And we're using this on guest created. Or possibly on guest updated might be more if there's a way for them to, yeah, let's say on guest created, which should, to my understanding, run when somebody buys a new ticket. That's going to be one part of the puzzle. The second part is going to be Wix real time, which is a way of sending like notifications and stuff like that, messaging, instant messaging. I have a tutorial on this. It's actually also one of like the first tutorials on the channel. And basically what we would do is when somebody visits the site, they would subscribe to a channel, it's called, in real time. And then when this is a slightly complicated package because it's comprised of two parts: Wix real-time front end. There's also Wix real-time backend. This is in Velo, but technically we should use the SDK because that was one of the requirements. You want to use the SDK. So Wix real-time you also have here in the SDK. It's also split up into two parts, if I'm not mistaken. If I can find it, let's see, real-time. There we go. So we have real-time site, which is in the back end, front end, back end. And you have real-time site real-time site and site real-time. Yeah, so in the front, basically in the front end, the people subscribe to a channel. And then in the back end, you publish to channels messages. So what we would have to do is we'd have to publish to a real-time channel every time somebody buys a ticket. And then once the subscribers receive the message, to use Velo code on the client side in order to change the marquee to display that a ticket's been sold. Those are the pieces of the puzzle. Unfortunately, we don't have time right now to put it all together. I will, let's see. Okay. Question time. Let's give like 5 to 10 minutes if anybody has any questions. It could be about what we did today. It could be about anything else, depending on the complexity of the question. I don't know if I'll be able to answer all the questions today, but it helps to know what the questions are because I really do take them into account when planning out content in the future and stuff like that. So if anybody has, if you're in the short stream also, or if you're in the mainstream, feel free to put some questions in. I can read some stuff from the chat that I haven't read. Sad said, I wish Wix Studio blocks were simple and effective, truly embracing mobile first streamline and operational app creation the way Cursor does. Okay, it's not a question, but I mean, it sounds like you have had some experience with Wix blocks that was painful. I actually like blocks a lot. I think it's a very useful tool if you don't want to leave the Wix ecosystem. And like Wix's other, like the Wix CLI it's getting better, but I feel like it's still not 100% there. Like blocks is always like a little more mature than it in terms of capabilities. So if you're not going self-hosting, I feel like blocks is really like your app will probably include blocks to some extent. Wix Studio gives real DOM control, but with blocks, it still feels too early to build a real app. I've built several apps with blocks. I mean, you can gain DOM control in the block using a custom element if you really need to. I do that in my new loader app. For those of you who have, I'll take this opportunity to do an unplanned, sorry, not loader, preloader. Those those of you who have seen this app in the app market, which somebody generously gave. We got one generous 5-star review and one generous 1-star review. But basically, this is actually built in blocks, and it does have some DOM control elements in it, so it's not impossible. And yeah. Okay, so I don't see any questions popping up in the chat, neither in the regular stream or in the short stream. So we're going to wrap up here today. Thank you to everybody who joined us for this live streamed Wix Studio code challenge. I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you guys. I'm sorry we didn't get to fully code out all of the solutions. We got a little hung up on some of the on some elements that might not have even been in the requirements, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day, and see you around.